Here we go, folks. Welcome in to another edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is the Wild and Wacky Wednesday edition of the program. So good to be with you guys here on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. He's Chris Yao, I'm Wade Neely, and Chris, it's going to be a fun one. Wild and Wacky Wednesdays always, they live up to the billing as we bring you guys the wildest and wackiest stories from across the globe. And we come to you from the Lee Company mobile studios today. I'm here in Pulaski. You are in.
Greetings from across the street of F&M Bank Arena here in Clarksville, Tennessee.
A future site for a Nashville Cats game, as I recall.
That's right. May 18th, they will be live and in person with all kinds of great stuff going on in and around downtown Clarksville. Man, Clarksville is a wonderful place, and our office, like I said, literally I look out the window and I can see F&M Bank Arena. How pretty cool is that? That's
pretty sweet. Could you throw a arena size football to F&M Bank, you think? Could you make it that far?
Once.
Okay. After that, you may need some reconstructive surgery.
No, I already need the reconstructive surgery. That's why I could only do it once.
That makes sense. Hey, we've got a big show lined up for you guys today. Coming up again, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. That'll be our final segment. We've got a massive slate today. It's Wednesday, so we obviously will catch up with Heather Williams in our first block after our top story today. We'll talk all things NASCAR. Heather breaking things down for us in the world of motorsports. We will have Braves chatter coming up. Houston and Atlanta will get the series concluded today. That game is already underway. So stand on guard. There might be some trash talk throughout the course of today's game, and I get the feeling it won't be from my end, as this has been a one-sided series to date. But last we checked, that game was tied 1-1. We will have a grab bag coming up a little bit later, as well as we talk about a wild night in the National Hockey League, as the two brackets kind of set. One of them pretty much set, the other kind of still waiting on one or two things. We'll have our full bracket pretty much finalized by the end of tonight. And speaking of brackets, Chris Yao, some folks are saying the end of a dynasty, as a certain NBA team, they didn't go out with much of a bang at all last night. It was really more of a whimper as Golden State fell to Sacramento. The beam was lit last night, and so we will break that down. Coming up, we mentioned the Preds will be discussed, and we'll go in depth in our second hour. We'll talk with our friend Dan Kimmel for Penalty Box Radio and get you guys up to date on the latest chatter from around the ice as the Preds get ready to tip into the postseason beginning this weekend. And Chris, did you get to check any of that madness in the NHL last night? It was just bonkers with games ending in crazy situations, coaches knowing the rule or knowing the situations, not knowing the situations. It was just crazy from top to bottom last night.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I did not actually get to see anything live, but when I was watching last night highlights, I thought, man, what an unfortunate situation. Of course, obviously it ended up not mattering for Philadelphia, but you know, what if it had worked out and they did get the win and then still ended up not getting into the playoffs because of the Detroit win? So it was just an absolute nuts night in the NHL. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Again, we'll talk all things NHL. We got a lot to get into today. And again, strap in for our final segment, Wild and Wacky Wednesday, as it's always good to have Chris on the program. He is the professor of Wild and Wackiness, the sheriff of Wild and Wacky USA, as it were. But before we get to all of that, it's time to bring you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
All right, we'll start in baseball where we've got football scores all over the place. We've got Antioch 28, Hunters Lane 7, Brentwood Academy 9-0 winners over Pope Prep. So there you go, a couple of football scores to get you started. Centennial defeated Brentwood 5-1. It was Shelbyville 7-4 against Columbia. Cookeville 6-1 against Laverne. Culleoka shuts out Santa Fe 4-0. It was Dixon County 10-0 over Clarksville Northwest. East Nashville 15-1 winners over Whites Creek. White House 5-2 against East Robertson. That's a big win there for White House. Siegel 7-5 over Ensworth. Ezel Harding falls to Davidson Academy 17-2. At least they got that late safety. Father Ryan 1-0 against MBA. Independence falling to Franklin 1-0 as well. Franklin County 10 runs Giles County 13-3. It was Webb School 12. Franklin Road Academy 9. Friendship Christian 6-4 winners against Good Pasture, and Grace Franklin downs Providence Christian 10-0. Station Camp 10-1 winners over Greenbrier. Cheatham County falling to Harpeth 1-0. Henry County continues to roll. This is 2 days in a row, 17-0 this time over Kenwood. Hillsboro.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Hillsboro 15-5 winners over John Overton. Eagleville 14-2 against Huntland. CPA downs Lipscomb Academy 10-4. Lawrence County 10, Marshall County nothing. Middle Tennessee Christian 3-2 winners over Battleground Academy. Mount Juliet 9, Gallatin nothing. Mount Juliet Christian 7, Tennessee Heat 6. Lewis County doubles up Mount Pleasant 14-7. Nolensville a 4-0 winner over Summit. Page falls to Ravenwood 11-9. Portland 3-2 winners over Macon County. Richland 12, Hampshire 1. Riverdale 8-6 winners over Rockville. Rossview 6-5 over Clarksville, which is a big one there. They split the series. We'll have Rossview coach on tomorrow on Coach's Corner. Smyrna 6-5 winners over Lebanon. Kirkwood 13-6 against Springfield. Stewart's Creek 5. Wilson Central nothing. Summertown bounces back after the loss to Loretto on Monday. 8-7 the win last night over the Mustangs. White House Heritage 12-2 winners over Trousdale County. Tullahoma 4, Murfreesboro Central 1. Columbia Academy completes the sweep of University School of Nashville 10-4. And Warren County 3, Spring Hill 2.
Softball action. Thank you, Chris. Softball action yesterday. These are finals, and kind of like Chris said, we got a football score on the softball diamond kind of to start things off, as John Overton put up 17 points, 17 runs officially, we'll call it, but it felt like points yesterday. 17-1, they defeat Antioch. It was Beach defeating Gallatin 13-2. Blackman was a 9-1 winner, or excuse me, Siegel was a 9-1 winner over Blackman. Sorry to the Blaze fans there. Clarksville Christian 10, Christian Community 2. Coffee County was a 9-2 winner versus Columbia. Columbia Academy defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 10-0. Cornersville 15-zip versus Culleoka. Good win for the Lady Bulldogs there. East Nashville 26, Stratford 7. Friendship Christian 5, Davidson Academy 4. Good Pasture was a 9-8 winner over Nashville Christian. Eagleville 8, Huntland 3. Loretto defeated Mount Pleasant 5-1 yesterday. Franklin County 26, Murfreesboro Central Magnet 9. Feel sorry for the scorekeeper trying to keep tabs on all of those yesterday. Oakland was a 12-1 winner over Rockvale. Providence Christian defeated Franklin Road Academy 13-2. Smyrna 9, Cookeville 3. Stewart's Creek wins a one-run ball game 8-7 versus Lebanon. East Nashville shuts out Stratford 25-0. Summertown defeated Lewis County 7-zip. It was also 7-0 favoring Zion Christian, who defeated Marshall County. Boys soccer scores from last night. BGA defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 7-0. Independence was a 2-0 winner versus Blackman. Providence Christian 1-0 versus Franklin Road Academy. Gallatin 2-1 victory versus Mount Juliet. Grace Christian Franklin 4, Columbia Academy 1. Harpeth 6, McEwen 0. John Overton 4, Lawson 1. It was Laverne 5, Cookeville 1, Oakland 3, or excuse me, Siegel 3, Oakland 2. It was also a 3-2 game between Riverdale and Rockvale. Riverdale winning that contest last night. Smyrna 4, Stewart's Creek 0. McGavick 4, White House 1. In a game we broadcast last night on Pulaski Citizen Live, it was Giles County and Page battling to a 2-2 draw as the Patriots got a late goal to even that contest. Major League Baseball score last night, it was Houston falling to Atlanta. The Braves winning at 6-2. Omaha defeating the Sounds last night 10-9 to cap results from yesterday's action. There were a lot of high scores, not just high school. Looks like minor league baseball, they brought the bats as well last night, partner.
Yeah, no doubt. 10-9. Wow. Baseball action today. Maplewoods at Antioch at 4:30. Centennials at Brentwood at 4:30. Also at 4:30, Glencliff plays host to Martin Luther King, and Father Ryan goes to MBA. Brentwood Academy is at Pope Prep. Ravenwood hosts Page. At 5 o'clock tonight, Westmoreland is at DeKalb County. At 5:30, it's Warren Central Kentucky at Whites Creek. At 6 o'clock tonight, you can catch Todd County Central at Northeast. Lipscomb Academy at CPA. Gallatin hosting Mount Juliet. Cookeville at Laverne. Blackman at Oakland. 6:30 tonight, Smyrna's at Lebanon. Middle Tennessee Monarchs are hosting Franklin Christian, and Riverdale's at Rockville. At 7 tonight, Beach is at Hendersonville. Los Gatos of the Cats of California are at John Overton. Wow, that should be fun. Stewart's Creek's at Wilson Central, and a time unknown to us, Nolensville is at Summit. You're muted. Don't know what happened, but you're muted.
Sorry about that. Softball games for tonight. Lawson is going to travel to Antioch. These games are beginning at 4:30, as is Mount Juliet Christian at Friendship Christian. Franklin Road Academy at St. Cecilia Academy. At 5 o'clock tonight, Laverne is at Cane Ridge. In a makeup contest, Lawrence County will come to Giles County tonight at 5 p.m. Riverdale is at Lincoln County. Station Camp is at Macon County this evening. Franklin visits Summit tonight to cap our 5 p.m. window. 5:30 first pitches between Clarksville at Kenwood. Eagleville traveling to Moore County tonight. 6:30 start times as Clarksville Northeast travels to East Robertson. Mount Juliet Christian is at Friendship Christian. Stewart's Creek is at Wilson Central. We do not have times listed, but we do have listed Martin Luther King at East Nashville, Portland at Westmoreland, Hume Fogg at White House Heritage to cap our softball schedule for tonight. Friendship Christian and DCA will play a boys soccer match. That's the lone soccer match on the docket. Correction, that reminds me, Richland is hosting Culleoka tonight in a game that will also be broadcast on Pulaski Citizen Live, and I believe start time is at 6 p.m. Check your local listings, but we will be broadcasting that game on PCL tonight. We mentioned the Braves and Astros are underway right now. Expect an update or two as our broadcast continues. That game is currently on ESPN Plus or Bally Sports, and the Sounds will play the was that the Storm Chasers we said yesterday of Omaha? I'm going to play them again at 6:35 to cap not only our professional sports for tonight, but to cap today's rundown. Top story, as always, presented by our fine friends at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Meal. Make sure you check them out for delicious daily lunch options. Everything is cost plus 10 at the register. And Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Meal, once again, bringing you our top stories. Chris, we got a couple of top stories for today. It's time to hand out hardware.
We'll have one top story today, and we've got to get to Heather quickly. So let's get to this quickly and get out so we can get to her.
Correction. Hey, that's what we love to do. We adapt on the fly. So what you got for us?
All right, so we'll start with Lipscomb freshman Jacob Tobias. Had a big week as he helped the Bisons to a series win over North Florida using a strong offensive production as he gains the TSWA's Baseball Player of the Week. Out of Birmingham, how about that? Represent. Hit 7 for 16 on the week with 13 runs batted in. 13. Had 7 of those in Saturday's win over the Ospreys, and he hit 3 for 6 in the game. Drove in 1 with a ground out to short in the 3rd, a grand slam in the 6th, and then a 2-run single in the 7th, and a 21-7 victory. More football scores on the diamond. On the bump, it was Tennessee Tech pitcher Landon Smitty, 2 D's, not T's, Smitty, earned the pitcher of the week as he tossed the Eagles' first 9-inning complete game shutout since 2018.
Wow. When
they faced Lindenwood. Out of Knoxville, he struck out 10 in that one, allowing just 3 hits and 5 walks. Worked his way out of a couple mid-game jams before getting into cruise control and allowed just 1 hit from the second out of the first inning until the leadoff batter in the 8th. So solid job there. On the smaller diamond, Belmont's sophomore shortstop Nicole Hughes made an impact with a 3-game set as she collected 8 hits. That's 3 runs and only 10 at-bats to hit 800 for the weekend. Her big game came on Sunday, going 4 for 4 with a triple, a double, and 2 runs scored. She ended the weekend with an .833 on-base mark. So there you go. In the circle, it was Lane College sophomore Jersey Cabana, who was fantastic as she threw 3 complete game shutouts for the week. Did not give up an earned run, allowed just 9 hits and walked just 1, striking out 17. Her opponents hit a grand total of 155 for the week. So She improved to 15-4 on the year. So congratulations, Jacob Tobias of Lipscomb, Landon Smitty of Tennessee Tech, Nicole Hughes of Belmont, and Jersey Cabana of Lane College.
Outstanding stuff. Thank you to Chris for bringing us those, and thank you. Congrats to all of our award winners. Again, our top story, as always, is brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill. What we're going to do is we're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we will jump right into the driver's seat, as it were, with our good friend Heather Williams at WCYB out of Bristol. It'll be a segment where we talk a lot of NASCAR, maybe sneak in a quick diss as the Royals took care of the Astros last week, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I promise you're not going to want to miss our upcoming segment with Heather Williams again out of Bristol. So sit tight, folks. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by our friends at TOA of Columbia.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to Wednesday and Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Every Wednesday, we are joined by our good friend Heather Williams of WCYB out of Bristol. We talk all things NASCAR, And Heather joins us now. Good afternoon, Heather. How we doing?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
We are great, and thank you for joining us. And we know time is of the essence with you. So, hey, let's just dive right in. I made the comment to Chris a couple of days ago. My brain just still can't process the words overtime and NASCAR, let alone double overtime. What did you take away from another wild and crazy weekend at the track last week?
Well, if they went triple overtime, I'm not sure we would have the same winner because Chase Elliott was running really thin on gas as they were running those final few laps. But I mean, I think it adds excitement. I mean, we want to see these races try to end under green, right? So by having those green-white checkered, those overtime attempts, it gives us a better opportunity to have them end on green. A couple of weeks ago when the race ended under yellow, nobody liked it. Nobody wanted that to be the way that it finished. So doing this, I think it's great. I think Texas has shown that this car is better on the 1.5 miles than anywhere else. Texas used to be like one of those tracks where we went, oh God, we're going to Texas. I don't want to see this anymore. But while the racing still at Texas is not as good as it is at Kansas or some of the other 1.5 miles at Atlanta, which is kind of a wonky 1.5 miles for Michigan, it is better. It is good. It is more entertaining than the week before at Martinsville. So I loved it. I love the 1.5 miles right now. I think it's the best racing out there. Vegas is another great track. And if you watch the Xfinity race, you saw why we really like the 1.5 miles because, they said it was the second closest Xfinity Series finish. I don't know how you finish any closer than what they had.
I still don't know who won the race. I looked at the picture and I'm like, I still don't know which one is in front.
Yeah, it's wild. 0.002 seconds. That's
jeez.
Close.
Well, it was a great race. And again, as I mentioned on Monday with my Monstars, they got a chance to fire up the siren down in Dawsonville, which is very rare these days, stopping a long winless streak for Chase Elliott. How big was it for him to get that monkey off his back?
I mean, it was big, but they've been running well. I think it was more important from the fact that Texas is not a traditionally good track for Chase. And so for him to get a win there, I think gives him confidence. Like they've been running well. They haven't always got the finishes they deserve, but by running well, getting the finish they deserved and doing it at a track where he's not traditionally good at, when Bubba or Daniel Suarez or any of these drivers that aren't like Chase or Denny where they're just good everywhere. When any of these drivers have finishes like that, I always think that's great. I also always think that makes them more dangerous because now they have confidence because it's like, well, if I could do it at Texas, I could really do it next week at Talladega where I have 3 wins, right? So I think it gives them the confidence that they need to continue to push forward.
Yeah, I'm reading an article, Heather, on Fox Sports, and Chase, I guess I didn't realize how long the streak had been. I mean, 42 races. At what point, I'm sure along the way, you're sitting there thinking, okay, I've lost a close race or, I've gotten blown out. At some point, does that seed of doubt really kind of creep in and start playing mind games with you? I guess really my question maybe is more about how much of a strong will and a strong psyche do you got to have to overcome a long winless streak like we saw with Chase prior to this weekend?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a driver or an athlete at this level, you're a little cocky, right? So you always think you could win. But I think what it does is it just reinstills what you've always believed. And it gives you the confidence to know you can get finishes and that luck and circumstances aren't always going to fall against you. I mean, I don't think that Chase ever stopped believing that he could win races, but you do start to doubt if the circumstances you're in, your driver, your crew chief. I mean, I was listening to Sirius satellite radio last night and somebody was just bashing Kyle Larson's crew chief because they hadn't won since Vegas and they've run in the top 5 every race. They're not getting finishes. And so they're like, well, do they need to make a crew chief change? And those are the kind of questions you have more than can I do it? I think all professional athletes feel like they can do it. But you just start to question the circumstances around you, luck. Have I passed my prime? Those kinds of things rather than can I do it? Because I think they always feel like they can. I think even Austin or not. Well, yeah, Austin Dillon's probably a great example. Shows every race and thinks that he can win every race. He wins one a year, one every 18 months, something like that. But also shows up every week he can win. But, when he's running like he did this year, midway through the first half of the season, he's like, my crew chief sucks. We got to fire my crew chief. We got to do that. We got to do that, because you start questioning everything around you.
Well, if there's any place where anybody can win or everybody can win, it's Talladega, and that's where we're at this weekend. Obviously, it's the action track, and Alabama folks are going to be fired up. It's going to be a huge weekend, always a good time at Talladega in and around the race. James Spann says there are going to be widespread showers on Sunday, but it appears we're going to have a chance to get the Geico 500 in on Sunday. So if that does prove to be the case and they can get it in, what are you expecting?
Insanity, madness.
The unexpected.
Isn't that why we love Talladega?
It is. Oh, no. It's exactly why we love Talladega, isn't it?
Expect the unexpected.
You have to expect the unexpected. That's the biggest thing about Talladega is, you never know what you're going to get, and it doesn't matter. At some point, it's exactly what you're going to get is the unexpected, and it's everybody's waiting on the big one. Everybody's waiting on, the way that we're not going to know who's going to win this thing until the very end. That's the best part. That's the best part about Talladega to me is anybody can win at any time, including the last lap of the race. There's Heather back. So
we'll go back to Heather here. Heather, we were just talking about expecting the unexpected, and then we briefly lost you there. So right on cue, we bring you back.
Room that my computer dies. I don't know what. So I apologize. No, I was just saying we love Talladega because, as you mentioned, expecting the unexpected. That being said, there are always guys that we can expect to be up front when we're at Talladega, right? Because there are guys that have, much like road courses, that have bought in to this style of racing. Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace. I think both of the track house drivers are very good at these super speedways. So I expect that. I expect those guys, Chase Elliott, Brian Blaney, or two others, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. I expect those people to be up front. But the great thing about Talladega is Austin Dillon, who hasn't run particularly well this year. Michael McDowell, who had a great year last year, who's not running that well. Todd Gilliland, who I got to give a shout out to Todd Gilliland because he's having the most underrated, not getting the finish. He probably feels like he deserves, but he's running in the top 10 every week. He's a guy to absolutely watch this weekend at Talladega because I kind of call Talladega and Daytona, they're kind of like the racing equivalent of Ball Don't Lie in basketball. If the racing gods owe you something, or you feel like they owe you something, these are the races where they tend to give, where you tend to luck into a race. Michael McDowell is a perfect example of it. That's a guy who was in the sport for a long time, had some great finishes, never won a race. First race he wins, several years into it, is because the four idiots in front of him all crashed each other, right? And there he was going, here I am. I won. So I think that's one of the things that makes this track great.
Absolutely. We look forward to a great race. It's always exciting. And like we said, expecting the unexpected is really kind of for the casual fan and me. That's why I tune in on a personal note. So, Heather, we're always certainly gracious of your time. Thank you so much for making an effort to squeak back in with us at the end here of our segment today. Have a safe Talladega week, and we'll catch up with you next Wednesday, all right?
Sounds good. Are the sounds at home today? Is that what
sounds are indeed at home.
They're playing the Storm Chasers, right?
Yep.
I believe the Storm Chasers have the Royals' #1 pick from 2 years ago, who is a Bristol, Tennessee native, and Gavin Cross. So if people want to go and check out a guy that is from Tennessee, they might go. I don't know if he's playing tonight. I don't know. But he is. We're supposed to break camp. Might be an opportunity for people to check him out.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. That's a good plan.
That's why she's the best in the biz. Heather, thank you again for that nugget, and we'll catch up with you next Wednesday, all right?
See you guys.
Thanks to Heather for joining us here on Main Street Sports today. We're presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia And yeah, you're obviously more in the know in terms of NASCAR and motorsports, but this is literally the one race where anything can happen. And like you've said, and this was, I guess, a question for you. If you're a driver, how much are you even really concerned about kind of where you're at until at what point do you really start thinking, all right, now I got a shot to win this, because you know that a big wreck could happen at any time and the field completely changes and you may have to totally alter your game plan at that point?
Yeah, the problem is, you want to be winning at one of the stage ends, right? You want to win the stage because you get those extra stage points, but they race really hard at the end of those stages. So if you're not anywhere close to the front, you want to be as far back as possible, because that's when a big wreck can happen toward the front. The rest of the time, you want to be 12 or higher if at all possible, because those big wrecks tend to happen in the middle of the pack where everybody's kind of bunched up and jumbled doing 3-4 wide at any given time. So it's a mess most of the time. So you just kind of have to play it exactly. You just have to keep that mindset of, excuse me, okay, is now the time to try and race to the front, or should I just fall back, wait it out, try to avoid the wrecks and be done? But again, if you're anywhere close to the wreck when it happens, you're probably going to get caught up in it. So it's a matter of, you want to be either in front of it or as far behind it as possible. One of the two.
Yeah, and that seems, and that's always what's fascinated me in terms of strategy is, you'd prefer to be at the front and kind of pushing the pace, but you said it best. It seems like if you're not going to be at the front, you might as well just hang back and give yourself the best opportunity to kind of avoid that wreck that inevitably happens. And maybe history will bear it out, but it always feels like it certainly happens in the later stages of the afternoon as well. Is that any? Can you chalk that up to anything, or is this something that it can happen at any time? Maybe just bias, or I'm just misremembering, but it feels like it always happens right toward the end almost too.
Yeah, it's usually in that third stage, and it's because one tire wear, the track is warm. You've got a lot of different elemental factors that play into it, and then of course, obviously, the closer you get to the end of the race, the more people are trying to race for position and for those points positions. So you see a lot of guys who will try something a little dangerous more often than not, in those final 150 or 25 laps.
Producer Mark says that's the old Dale Jarrett strategy. Get the UPS car out of retirement there. This is always a fun race though, and even for the casual
weekend.
Yeah. I'm assuming you've been.
Yeah, it is as fun a weekend as you can have in race. Even with the day. I mean, the Daytona 500, the race is a very big spectacle. With Talladega, it's almost like an Ole Miss football game. The race is secondary. The party is the primary.
And that's kind of the way I've always seen it. I will say this. I have driven by on I-20 the weekend after. And
with the porta potties just everywhere.
With the porta potties and the carnage just lined up everywhere and
strode all over.
I want to go. I've got to check it off the sports bucket list at some point in my life. I think the 10 years prior to today would have probably been my best window to really enjoy
maybe a trip in October when that, because it's a playoff race in October. We may we may try to use Heather's name, drop her name, and see if we can't get into some of the media credentials and pop down there. That would be fun.
Absolutely. Me, you, and Mo in matching jorts, I feel like would be a good,
absolutely,
be quite the look.
100%.
To get into to media access there. Again, thanks to Heather for joining us. She joins us every single Wednesday. Check back in on Friday. Chris and I undoubtedly will maybe offer a prediction or two as we head into Talladega weekend, but it's certainly going to be exciting. When we come back, we're going to take a quick timeout. On the other side of this timeout, though, we're going to have this day in Braves history. We got a lot to talk about in terms of chatter, some injury news, not just for the Braves, but with some other teams. And we will also obviously give you an update as Houston and Atlanta close out a 3-game set. And it ain't been pretty for my team. Chris and Mo's boys. Yeah, there's a reason one of us is smiling a little bigger than the other. We'll fill you guys in on all that. That's on the other side of this timeout. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris and I are back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
This day in Braves history, we go back to 1971. Orlando Cepeda, Hal King, and rookie Earl Williams hit solo home runs off Barry Lersch in the 7th inning. Williams added another home run. Both of those were the first two of his career, as well as a double. The Braves scored all 6 runs over the final 3 innings of a 6-2 win in Philadelphia. So that was this day in Braves history. Third baseman Earl Williams with the first 2 homers of his career in Philadelphia.
How about that? Yeah, in Philadelphia, and your first 2 homers in the same game. That's a strong presence with authority, as we like to say.
Yeah, you like to announce it, no doubt. And Earl Williams got his first 2 home runs of his career today. Ronald Acuna Jr. hit his first home run of the season today, just moments ago, to give the Braves a 2-1 lead over Houston down in Minute Maid Park. Wade?
Yeah, not much good coming out of the Houston camp. If you're the Braves, obviously, this series is happening early enough in the season that Atlanta's fired up. And obviously they get the wins, and they're kind of emotionally charged wins, I think. But we may look back at this series in just a couple of weeks and be like, if Atlanta had lost 1 or 2 of those games, how bad of a loss would those be? Because Houston seems like they are just floundering right now. And
Houston's struggling, man, for sure.
4-8 at home is the real kind of thing that's kind of got my kind of ire right now, as Alvarez hit the home run for Houston today to put them on the board. The offense is we've talked a lot about their pitching and injury issues, which is really unfortunate considering that they had injury issues last year. But man, they are not looking hot. And so this is a series again that the Braves, they win, and you may look back in another couple months and be like, all right, we took 3 from Houston. I'm glad we did because Houston could be really, I mean, they're on the verge of potentially looking at becoming big-time sellers if this continues. This is not a great start by any stretch.
No. Speaking of bad starts, Max Fried, by the way, runners on the corners with 1 out right now for the Astros. Well, now 2 in scoring position, matter of fact, as I'm sure that's Kyle Tucker. Let's see.
Tucker hit a home run last night.
Alvarez the second on a wild pitch. Okay, so there's that. Max Fried not having a great start to the year, and today even less so. He has thrown 81 pitches, only 43 strikes. Nearly half of his pitches have been balls. That's wild. That's not what you expect from Max Fried.
I was going to say that's certainly not what you're accustomed to if you're a Fried / Braves fan. And has that been a trend, or is that something that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he has pitched. He's pitched very poorly this season. I mean, just has been not good. His first 2 starts, he went 2/3 of an inning, then went 4 1/3 against Arizona before, getting his first win of the year against Miami. But crap, it's Miami, and now the score is now tied 2-2. Congratulations there. Yeah, man, tough right now for Max Fried. Good news: Bregman singles, Altuve scores, Alvarez to third. Now you're looking. You got a chance to put a big inning together right here for the Astros and get out of here with at least 1 win.
Yeah, tail between their legs, kind of, as it were. But hey, while we're on the topic of MLB, and we're going to get into a couple of other topics coming up at the top of the hour as part of our grab bag. Chris, I had a buddy. I had lost track of this from yesterday, but a friend of mine texted me a courtesy reminder that Ryan Weathers, he's up to his old tricks. And I don't mean his old major league tricks. I mean, he went back to like old school Loretto tricks after getting his first win of the season last week in Yankee Stadium. He went out last night and struck out a career high 10 as the Marlins knocked off the Giants 6-3. So Weathers is now 2-1 on the season. And in 6 innings, he struck out 10 batters. 2 strong starts for the Loretto native here, Mr. Weathers, for the Marlins.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need Ryan Weathers to go 6 innings if you're the Marlins. He only threw 90 pitches, so it's clear they're not trying to overwork him too much. He could have gone out for the 7th. You would think. I mean, I'm sure matchups probably has something to do with that. But 2 earned runs, only 1 walk, struck out 10, 5 hits. Just a really good day for him, and he just continues to. Heck, he's won half the games the Marlins have won this year.
I was just getting ready to say they've got 4 wins on the season, and Weathers has accounted for 2 of them. So
I mean, that's a good day right there.
Kind of in the same vein with Houston and Blanco to start the season. But kudos to Ryan Weathers. We always wish him the best, and it was good to see him again get a nice win. Chris, some of our other notes on our rundown here for today as far as MLB chatter. What's up with Ozzie Albies? Is that a toe situation going on? Fill us in.
So a hit by pitch on Monday night apparently hit Ozzie's toe. He played the rest of the game, but turns out he did have a small fracture in his toe. So he's been placed on the IL. Braves insert Luis Guillermo, who has been a thorn in the Braves' side over the last few years for the New York Metropolitans. And one of the reasons that he's been a big thorn is because he doesn't hit the ball really hard. When he hits it, the ball seems to find its way to the ground somehow, some way. And last night was no different. He had a home run, which was great, but also had a double that was a bloop. I mean, an absolute just dunked it over into no man's land between the shortstop, third baseman, and left fielder. And those are the type of hits that, it was almost like, gosh, I'm so glad to finally see him getting those hits for us instead of against us. And big day for him. And obviously he was a big reason the Braves won last night. But yeah, so I'm curious, and it's unfortunate that, we talked a couple of weeks ago about Tony Kemp, or I guess last week about Tony Kemp being DFA'd by the Orioles in order to make room for Jackson Holliday, and now he has signed a minor league deal with the Twins. So unfortunately, the Braves will not be able to sign Tony Kemp, which would have been the perfect scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, Tony was bouncing around, and so that would have been a dream scenario, right? As if
former A's player, so that would have fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even necessarily immediately jump to that, but that would have been perfectly fitting. As he has kind of bounced around this offseason, but again, signing that minor league deal with the Twins, we will be keeping tabs on Tony as we come through. Hey, speaking of injuries, since you mentioned Albies, Christian Yelich is going to the IL, it looks like. And I got a chance to go to that game, or at least one of the games, a couple of years ago. He made a rehab stint that took him back through Nashville.
He actually started the season in Nashville last year, maybe. Maybe not, but I feel like he played last year in Nashville. No, that was Joey Votto that started the season here last year.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it was a couple of years ago, late in the year, where he has spent some time, and I think we'll probably see him again for at least a game or two.
Went to that was in 21, I remember, and went with a couple friends, and depending on how tapped in you really are, some of the guys that I was with, they were expecting a massive, performance and blah, blah, blah. I think he took 1 at bat. I think it was his last game before he went back. He took 1 at bat. I don't know that he even stayed in the dugout the rest of the game. He immediately was like, yep, I got my AB in, and I'm hitting the plane back to Milwaukee. And now that you say that, you're right. My sister went to that game last year where Votto was there to start.
Crushed the first.
Absolutely tattooed one, yes.
he put it at the AT&T building. The Batman building caught his first home run of AAA last year. There's no doubt.
My goodness, yeah, he absolutely decimated one. So Yelich, we could see him in Nashville as the Sounds will get underway. And Chris, I'm a little devastated. I had big plans going into this week, and I had a game plan all mapped out. And you and I even had talked about you might be in attendance as well, but I'm not going to be able to make it to First Horizon Park, I don't think, tonight, and I'm devastated by that. obviously, because anytime you can see the sounds is great. But the Sounds Squishmallow giveaway night, that's one that caught my eye, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get up there and get one tonight. And, you know, there are quite a few members in the Neely household that are going to be devastated to hear that news this evening.
I've got to go.
You're closer than I am at that point.
I could drive through Nashville to get home tonight. We'll see. I might have to snag a Squishmallow or two and see if I can't bring one and get it to you.
That would be.
I'll run through the front office and make Jeff and Colin hand some over.
Our friends at the Sounds, say we know you got them Squishmallows. Give them up.
Yeah,
and
we know you're hiding them.
We know you're hoarding them. Certainly won't be as hot of a item, and we had it on display actually in the studio yesterday. And if you we're in the Lee Company mobile studios today, but the next time that we're back together and on camera, just take a peek in the background. We've got a nice Sounds item. I don't want to really shout it out all the way because I kind of want the viewers to
kind of see it. Yeah.
Kind of do some of their homework. But we have a sweet new giveaway that's coming to First Horizon Park, and we're proud to display that in our studios in Columbia there.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
Any other odds and ends on the MLB
I
front?
got nothing. I got nothing on baseball. 3-2 now. Astros. At the end of the fifth inning, so Max Fried did get out of it eventually, but Kyle Tucker doubled and brought home the go-ahead run. So Braves offense, you got to get them out 27 times, not 24, as you guys have been prone to do the last 2 days. The 24 outs are easy. It's those 25, 26, and 27 y'all are struggling with right now.
You know that, and obviously, when they get Hader and then you got Presley going in, I'm thinking, man, this is a dream situation in terms of the back end.
We might win this thing in the ninth.
Yep. It has not been kind to Houston thus far. And again, my only saving grace, and I was talking to a couple of friends about this last night. Mark Mize, who helps with our Pulaski Citizen broadcast coverage. He's an Orioles fan, so obviously he's feeling pretty cocky right now as they have now tied the Yankees in the AL East. But we were talking about the AL Central and kind of how they've kind of gotten off to a little bit of a fast start. But, partner, the AL West, it ain't good. Texas is leading that division right now, and their record is 9-9.
Yeah, 500. Yeah.
Houston is 6-13, and they're only 3.5 games back. So that is only the saving grace for me right now, is that even as poorly as they have played, it's not as if the White Sox, who are historically bad, potentially, they're 9.5 games already back, and we're not even barely halfway through the month of April.
Yeah. It's working out okay for right now.
So MLB chatter kind of going around the horn. Again, it is 2 of 3 are definitely going to the Braves. I tip my cap to Mo and Chris. You guys have been gentlemen thus far, but still got one more game to go. We'll see.
I'm bringing the broom to the office tomorrow. If game 1 was 6-1, game 2 was 6-2. You guys have 3 runs right now, but it would only be fitting to finish this one 6-3.
6-3. So we'll keep you guys up to date as we get ready to roll on into hour number 2. Speaking of hour number 2, we got a big hour lined up. Still to come, we've got our grab bag coming up. We're going to talk a lot of hockey in hour number 2. We got some sports betting news, which should or could perk up some ears, but this is kind of a cautionary tale of what can happen if you fly too close to the sun, as one particular NBA player has found out. We also have some chatter from the NFL, and as we mentioned, Ann Kimmel for Penalty Box Radio is coming up in the second block of hour number 2. But finally, we close things out as we do every Wednesday. It'll be Wild and Wacky Wednesday. That's a rundown of hour number 2. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. When we come back, we will kick things off with that grab bag. We got a lot to get into, and you're not going to want to miss it. So come back with us. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris and myself, we will be back right after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Rocking and rolling into hour number 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris Yao there, Wade Neely here. We come to you from the Lee Company mobile studios. Big second hour, and we wanted to kick things off with what's been a fun topic. We've covered the Preds, obviously, but the last 24 to 48 of the entire NHL, as we discussed in our open, has been just bonkers. And so we wanted to bring in our next guest as our good friend Ann Kimmel is standing by in the green room. You can catch her on Penalty Box Radio. She's a friend of the show, and we welcome Ann now. Good evening or good afternoon, Ann. How are we doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic. Thank you for taking some time. Kind of the calm before the storm, before we get into what's sure to be another wild and crazy, or as we like to say on Wednesdays, wild and wacky postseason. And it just feels good to know that the Preds are going to be involved in the postseason once again.
It really does. And I think it was unexpected for the most part. I think the way that it came out was extremely unexpected. I think a lot of people at the beginning of the season said, if there's a way the Predators could squeak in, it's going to be on the back of UC Saros, who will drag them into the postseason with his amazing goaltending. The Predators are in the postseason, but I would say there's a lot of other factors that got them there besides goaltending. But what matters is they're in. And once you're in, anything can happen in the postseason. So it is a great time to be a Nashville Predators fan. It's going to be a really interesting postseason for them.
Yeah, and as we've discussed, some teams are living and dying right now. They're basically playing postseason type games. We saw crazy theatrics last night with the Capitals and a wild win over the Flyers, and then we certainly have seen Detroit with a couple crazy games that ended up not mattering, I guess, for lack of a better term, in the grand scheme of things. So a few teams have already kind of turned the switch and gotten into that postseason mode with the official Stanley Cup playoffs still not yet beginning until this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. You know, Nashville is in, so in some sense the pressure is off, but they don't really know who they're playing yet. So there's still some sifting out to do. And like you said, this has not been without drama, and I'm here for the drama. You know, if you're going to have this push for the playoffs, I love that it comes down to inches and moments. And that's what we got last night. And that could be how the rest of this plays out as well.
And you've mentioned it while we've got you here. Predators don't know their first round opponent officially yet. We obviously still don't, therefore, know the dates and times just yet on the schedule. But kind of paint the picture as best you could for us. What could happen or what needs to happen in your mind down the stretch here for Nashville to get their most favorable draw, perhaps?
Yeah, if you ask Andrew Brunette, he will tell you, as will the players, we'll play whoever you put in front of us. And while that is true, I do think there are, you know, some situations that are maybe a bit more favorable for the Predators. I think right now the Predators would like a shot in the first round at Vancouver over Dallas. That could be decided tonight. Dallas plays St. Louis. If Dallas comes out with a point, Nashville will play Vancouver. If Dallas loses to St. Louis, does not get a point, then it's going to come down to Thursday night's game between the Jets and Vancouver. So still waiting to see. Odds are it's going to be Vancouver. And I think that's the more favorable matchup for the Predators. Certainly, by no stretch of the imagination is it easy. But this is a different Predators team in the postseason than faced Vancouver kind of earlier in the year. So I think there are more opportunities for Nashville. I think the style of hockey maybe is a little bit more favorable compared to a team like Dallas. You know, Dallas really is coming into this postseason stretch. They're coming in really hot. They're peaking at the right time. Timing is everything. So I think Nashville would probably prefer to play Vancouver, but of course, then you have to factor in things like travel time, and that becomes another element in the postseason. So there's pluses and minuses to both. I think right now, Andrew Brunette and the team just wants to know who it is, because then you can get more specific in your preparation.
Well, the travel to Vancouver could actually be a positive for the Predators in that they'll potentially have a day or two, maybe even to get there and kind of get acclimated. And that's why they need Dallas to win tonight, so that they can go ahead and make that trip up there. Because on the trip back, Vancouver doesn't have that luxury. They just have to travel to Nashville and play a hockey game.
Right.
And so, you know, the traveling before game 1 and 2 actually gives you a little bit of an advantage. And if you can still one up there, you really feel good coming back home. So that could be an interesting part of that. And again, of course, Predators 0-3 on the year against Vancouver. So there's that, like you said, different team. And so, you know, what is different though about this team? They just seem to have a swagger right now. Even though the loss to Pittsburgh, they still feel like they feel like they're going into every game that they're going to win the game.
They do have a lot of swagger, and it's not something that I think any of us would have said even partway through the season before they kind of hit their stride. It took Nashville a while to get used to Andrew Brunette's new system. When they played 2 of their games against Vancouver, that was within the first month. You know, they played Vancouver twice in October. They didn't have their lines set. You know, you didn't have that top line together of O'Reilly, Nyquist, and Forsberg. So that's going to look a little bit different against Vancouver. I think the team gets it. God bless Andrew Brunette. Andrew Brunette kept preaching the same thing and kept demanding the same things. He never changed expectations. He never adjusted what he expected from the team. And really, once it finally clicked, I think that's when you saw Nashville hit that 18-game point streak where they really felt like they could beat any team at any given night on the ice. And I think they still feel that way now. Had a couple of rough games towards the end of the season, but I do think this is a team that understands and they know what it feels like to play the way they have to play to win these games. So there is a lot of confidence in this locker room, whether it's veterans like Ryan O'Reilly and Ryan McDonough who have Stanley Cups, or, even the younger players, Luke Evangelista, Tommy Novak. They're confident in, hey, we know what it feels like to play winning hockey.
We're talking with Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio here. And Ann, what does, in your mind, what's the recipe or what is the script or flow for Nashville to have success in this postseason? Does one line, does one unit or position group kind of need to play well in your mind? Kind of walk us through what maybe is the best chance for success or blueprint, if you will, for them in this postseason if they're going to make a run.
If they're going to be successful in the postseason, I think there are a couple things that absolutely have to happen. Number one, your best players have to be your best players. And we're looking at that top line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist. This has been the group that have really carried this team, that have been able to generate such high quality offense. They've given other teams fits offensively. You really need those three guys to be generating a lot of opportunities and a lot of chances. You also really need your defense to be good in front of your goaltender. Vancouver or Dallas, you were looking at teams that have some really great offensive weapons. The defense is going to have to play really, really well in front of their netminder.
So it sounds like kind of a fusion, I suppose, quality goalkeeping, but also it seems like that top line in particular needs to play well. Are there anybody, or is there anybody on lines maybe 2 or below in your mind that could be primed for a nice little breakout in this postseason?
I really think that Luke Evangelista could be an X factor in the playoffs, which seems kind of odd. This would be his first experience in the NHL playoffs. Very young player, but this is a young man, in talking with him, who really has had an opportunity to learn this season. And it's not always been easy. It's not always been an upward straight trajectory for him, but he really understands what he has to do to affect the game. And that means winning those 50-50 puck battles, in getting in there, not waiting for the puck to come to him, and to also keep moving his feet and to keep skating. And those two little things, when he commits to doing them, have really changed the way he performs on the ice. And he has become this playmaker. He's become sort of this unexpected offensive X factor for the Nashville Predators. So for me, I'm really keeping my eye on Evangelista, because I think he is going to be an X factor. He could be the guy that gets the goal in the big moment. And look, Luke Evangelista, this is a kid who has a ton of moxie. Like, there is not going to be a moment too big for him. He is going to love being in the postseason. So he is my one to keep an eye on for sure.
You also talked about the recipe we thought for Nashville to get in the playoffs way back in the preseason might be Saros kind of really just dragging the team to the finish line. Is he going to be asked to kind of stand on his head again in the postseason, in your mind, for Nashville to have success? Can Nashville get by with him being just quote unquote okay in your estimation?
I think it's going to be tough to make it very far in the postseason with just okay goaltending, no matter who you are. And so I do think Nashville is going to need some of those vintage Saros performances to help them against some of these teams. Vancouver, again, this is a team that's got a ton of offensive weapons. Dallas, offensive nightmare. So goaltending can't just be okay in the postseason. You are looking at a stretch of hockey where you're playing the best teams with the best players. And so Saros really is going to need to be at his best. Now, I do think he's, headed in that direction. I think timing wise, Saros is hitting his stride when you want him to when it comes to the postseason. But yes, the Predators will need the best out of Saros as a part of this.
Well, offense, defense, and special teams that's the recipe. You have to have all three to win in the playoffs. And sans the Pittsburgh shorthanded goal, special teams has been really good for Nashville as of late. They've played really well on the power play and on the penalty kill. If they're able to be successful in that area, they feel really good about, getting out of this first round and making a deep run.
Yeah, I think special teams is something we've seen tons of improvement with the Predators over the course of the season. The key, I think, for Nashville is really staying out of the box. While their penalty kill has been very, very good, you were looking at power plays, top 10, Vancouver 10th best power play in the league, Dallas 5th best power play in the league. So staying out of the box, which they didn't do down the stretch, there was a few more penalties in some of those late games than what Andrew Brunette would want. But if you can keep, out of the box, stay out of the box, I think the power play, especially if they can win that first faceoff, off of the power play and get set up in the offensive zone. This is a power play unit, both of them that can really score some goals. Ryan O'Reilly, you've got Luke Evangelista on the top line now doing really well. Tommy Novak, Ryan McDonough quarterbacking that second unit. So, if you can get opportunities on the power play, I think Nashville has shown that if they can get in the zone, they can really make something happen. So that may be something that can swing it. But for me, the key is just stay out of the box. Don't go to the penalty box.
Yeah, well, easier said than done when you.
It always is.
Oh, man. Especially in the playoffs when everything is amped up to, 11 and you have the league record holder for hits in a season. I mean, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think it's going to be interesting for these young players who this is their first NHL playoff, because you do have to manage the emotions while still elevating your game. So it's definitely going to be a learning curve for some of these younger players, but I think they may surprise you in how well they can step up.
I think so. We're talking with Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio. And seems like the West has kind of not been finalized, obviously, but it seems like it's pretty much been set for what feels like weeks now compared to how crazy the East has been over the last couple of nights. In your mind, obviously, we're going to be hyper-focused on the series featuring Nashville, but who's maybe, in your estimation, playing some sneaky good hockey right now? Who is the squad that could – in your mind, make a run out of the West and potentially get into the Stanley Cup Finals?
The team that I kind of keep my eye on in the West, of course, you have to say Edmonton because, Connor McDavid. But if I'm talking about who's a team that maybe I wouldn't see coming, and it may sound strange based on the rankings, but the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg would face off against Colorado, and nobody really would want Colorado in the first round, but I really think this Winnipeg Jets team matches up very, very well against Colorado. I think they are sneaky good. And again, for me, it comes down to the Connor Hellebuyck factor. If you have Connor Hellebuyck in net for your team in the postseason, you have so much going for you. He is absolutely clutch in the postseason. He's been fantastic in the regular season. I think you have to say this is the guy who's probably going to get the Vezina. So for me, I think Winnipeg is the team that has it all really together. I know they took a little dip at, later on in the season, but I really think they have all of the pieces together. And that Connor Hellebuyck factor for me, I think Winnipeg could really surprise some people.
Flipping the script a little bit over to the East, we've seen just so many crazy finishes and just wild situations the last couple of nights. Is this a situation where a team like Washington, just as they get in at the death into the postseason, do they have the goods to maybe make a run? Or who are some other teams that you're going to be kind of keeping your eyes on out of the East now into the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I think it's going to be interesting to watch the Capitals. Alex Ovechkin, again, that's one of those players who in the big moments, you just cannot count him out. So let's see what they can do. I would be surprised if they make it out of the first round. I know a lot of people would love to see that happen. They've got the momentum. And like you said, when you have to fight your way in, you're in a good place mentally to kind of continue that into the playoffs. The team that I'm interested to watch is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's kind of been this perennial, amazing Stanley Cup team, but then kind of this season, they've been overlooked and they had some struggles. They lost some games to teams they probably shouldn't have. And you had to wonder, like, is their window closed? I don't think it is. I think Tampa Bay could be a sneaky good team. You know, they may not be the season-long favorite to win the Cup, but Tampa Bay, I think, in the East is going to be an interesting team to watch.
And Toronto every year gets their hopes up. The entire country of Canada essentially pins their hopes on the Maple Leafs, it seems like, on a year in, year out basis. How far do the Leafs maybe make it in your mind this year?
You know what's so funny? Last year, I was like, I'm telling you, man, they're going to go. They could go all the way. They've got Austin Matthews. They've got so much talent. Toronto could go all the way. I don't even know how to bet on this team anymore. But I do think, you know, you just look at the talent that they have. You know, it looks like they're going to be going up against Boston. They're a team you just can't count out. But again, I said that last year. Let's see what they can do. At some point, the curse has to end. At some point, when you've got the amount of talent that they have in Toronto, you've got to be able to push kind of past this, you know, history that they have. So let's see. But again, like I said, man, I would have bet on Toronto to go all the way last year, and that would not have made me look very smart at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are in agreement. I do think everybody is kind of in agreement, at least at the NHL offices, though. The fact that Toronto is in the playoffs on a year-to-year basis and competing, that's obviously huge for ratings and huge for buzz. And you just mentioned them versus Boston, outside of obviously whatever series Nashville ends up in, that'll be one that I certainly will be glued to as the postseason kind of kicks off.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great one. When you have kind of these powerhouse teams coming up and going against each other, when you have that amount of talent on these rosters, there's really so little margin for error in, you know, between a win and a loss when you have a matchup like that. So I think it's going to be some great hockey.
Absolutely. Well, Ann Kimmel from Penalty Box Radio, thank you for your time as always. This time of the year is so exciting, really, whether your team is in it or not. But the fact when your team is in it, like Chris said a moment ago, it just dials that intensity up. Really even beyond 11. So we are pumped, and hopefully we can have you back on to discuss the Preds and how they've done in their first round series here in just a couple of weeks as we roll along.
That sounds great. Hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you again. And Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. And Chris, you get into the postseason, and you've said it a number of times, and I can't agree with you more. This is by far, in my opinion, the most entertaining postseason in all of sports. And really what I really love about it is the schedule. You get one night off, and then you're right back to it. The NBA is as entertaining as that can be. Having the multiple nights off in between games, it just really seems like it drags on and on. I love the pace that the NHL has for their postseason.
Yeah, get it done, and that's the thing. It's so important to keep the momentum. I mean, by the time another NBA game rolls around, it doesn't even feel like it's a playoff series. You know, the way the NHL does it, much like baseball, is, you know, you travel, you get a day, and that's it. Like we're playing hockey. We're going to figure out who the best team is. We're going to move on to the next round, and then, you know, it gets it over quickly. And, you know, unlike the NBA, that it feels like the playoffs last as long as the season sometimes. So
it's really aggravating. We'll talk more NBA on the other side of this time out in our grab bag, but it's aggravating when you're a fan of the team, especially because you just got a crazy win on a buzzer beater or a dramatic comeback and you're ready to go. And then you got to wait 4 days because the series has got to shift from one side to the other. So I love the format. I love the fact that the NHL kind of just keeps it rolling. And this is the time of the year too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, and you go back and you think about, you know, when the Preds made their run, and then the very next year when they were the 1 seed and got put out, and then that, you know, the Winnipeg series when you know, they won the 3 games on the road and lost 4 at home because, you know, of course they did. It really does kind of it almost benefits the road teams. So it's almost like they tried to capture some of the NCAA tournament magic with the upsets, and but yet also, it's a 7-game series, so the better team should win, and it's just interesting. I think it's really cool and unique, and I love the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's nothing better.
I love it. I'm with you as well. Obviously, I'm a little more tapped in when Nashville's involved, which will make this year certainly more entertaining. The other thing that I really love about the Stanley Cup playoffs is just how casual they are with the injury news. The report will come out. Yeah, so-and-so, he broke his hand last night, but yeah, he's out there playing. Nope.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot different than, any other sport. Yeah. I mean, if, you break a pinky finger, they don't care. You're playing. So
yeah.
Tape it up.
I always love that. They reveal, he suffered an upper body injury, and then you find out later that he played 5 games on a broken hand. And you're just like, well, we shouldn't be surprised. These guys they're hockey players after all. So
toughest players in the business.
No doubt about it. Thanks to Ann Kimmel once again from Penalty Box Radio for joining us, as Nashville is either going to get Vancouver or Dallas, it looks like. And even though their season ended on Monday, we got games tonight, we got games tomorrow, and we will see how the Western Conference bracket is eventually finalized. Speaking of brackets, play-in games occurred last night in the NBA, and at least for one team, is it the end of a dynasty? We'll talk a little grab bag action here, as one team made a absolute dud of a exit last night from the NBA playoffs. We'll also talk a little NFL chatter about a famous coach. You may have heard of this gentleman that we'll discuss on the other side of this timeout. It's part of the grab bag, so stick around with us. Grab bag coming your way on the other side of this break as you're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome back, folks. Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. We come to you from the Lee Company Mobile Studios. I'm here in Pulaski. Chris Yao is in Clarksville. And
from one end of the state to the other.
This is about as far as we could get traversing the Lee Company Mobile Studios.
I mean, the two of us are probably equal distances from two different states.
You know, you kind of just blew my mind there, but you're right. I mean, you're basically in Kentucky. I'm basically in Alabama.
It is incredible. And, you know, covering everything from here to there.
From preps to pros. We just got done talking a little Nashville Predators hockey with our good friend Dan Kimmel from Penalty Box Radio. In our first hour, we caught up with Heather Williams as we talked a lot of NASCAR in a short amount of time, which is kind of fitting as they get ready for Talladega this weekend. We've also had some Braves and Astros chatter. It's been more on the end of Braves chatter than Astros chatter, thankfully, as Houston has been struggling as of late, but that's okay. Chris, as we dive into this next segment, we'll close obviously with Wild and Wacky Wednesday, but we kind of got a grab bag here, and the grab bag is interesting. And last night, as we jump right in, they're calling it the end of a dynasty. And I caught quite a bit, especially the second half, as Golden State, the Warriors go to Sacramento and they fall in convincing fashion. This game turned into a real kind of runaway down the stretch. And Golden State, not with a bang, but rather with a whimper, they fall 118-94. The Kings move on to the second round, as it were, of the play-in tournament, where they're going to meet the Pelicans on Friday. And
the NBA and the play-in tournament is wild.
It is confusing. And even if you're a basketball fan, it's kind of confusing. The Lakers defeated the Pelicans in the first game of the night. So the Lakers, I think I have this right, they get the 7 seed. It's taken me that's how you know it's confusing. It's taken me like 3 years, and I'm still kind of not all the way in tune with what's happening. But what we do know is that last night, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and especially Klay Thompson all bid adieu as their season ends 118-94. And again, a lot of folks across all corners of the internet are saying that could be the end, the final nail in the coffin, as it were, for this Golden State Warriors dynasty.
I mean, it certainly could be. And you know, and maybe not. This is obviously a really good team. I think the Western Conference was just so good this year from top to bottom that it's, I mean, someone was going to have to be that 10 seed, and no matter who it was, could have lost, but they also could have won, and they could have gone on to be the 8th seed and even win against Oklahoma City. I mean, it's just so good in the Western Conference right now, and has been for a couple of years now. So, I mean, the competition is fierce. So, is it the end of a dynasty? Probably. Is that because the Warriors are just falling off a cliff? No. I think that the Western Conference has just found its way to a place where a dynasty is almost impossible to have.
I'm with you there. I don't know that we will have a quote-unquote dynasty in the traditional sense like that ever again. Here are some numbers, though, that we can tell you. The Warriors obviously win championships in 2015, 2017, and 2018. But then how about this stat, Chris Yao? I'm just going to read these off to you. This is Golden State from the years 2019 to 2024. Now, you obviously have the COVID year with the bubble in there, but bear with me. 2019, lose the finals. The following year, they go 15-50. Year after that, they lose.
That was COVID, right?
Yeah, I
So
believe that's your
15,
COVID year.
So I am throwing it out.
Yeah, toss that out. The following year, so 21, they lose 2 play-in games. But the next year, they win the finals for their 7th championship in 2022. And then last year, they lose in the second round. And now this year, they lose in the play-in. And Bill Simmons tweeted out last night, if that's not the weirdest 6-year stretch of NBA that you've ever seen, you lose in the finals, you win the finals, but mixed in there, you got some really kind of clunker seasons and kind of embarrassing postseason exits. For as dominant as they were in that first run of that part of the dynasty, it's been an unusual kind of finish the last 6 years.
Well, I mean, look at the players who are, or look at how many players on that team are staples. You know, obviously Steve Kerr and coaching, and then of course Steph Curry. But you know, there were some of those teams had some really solid role players that kind of stepped up, and then you know you had Draymond in there, you had Clay who were able to kind of solidify their big three, I guess, to some degree. But I mean, between injuries and a little bit of roster turnover, you know, you're going to find some of those weird years. And then sometimes you're just going to have a year where Steph Curry, you know, wills you to the finals.
So an unusual end.
It is. Is it the end of a dynasty? We don't know, because the last time they lost in the play-in, they won the championship the next year.
Right. So who knows? Steve Kerr did say that this one really stings because obviously your core of Green, throw in Wiggins even if you'd like, but obviously your core of Green, Curry, and Thompson was there pretty much all season. And Thompson last night really had an all-time bad game, 0 of 10 from the floor, 0 of 6 from downtown. And it was not enough as the Kings win it again last night and move on to play New Orleans, who apparently is going to be without the services of Zion Williamson on Friday. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. Chris, not the only chatter we've got out of the association. You and I have been discussing this story for the last couple of days now, really since it kind of broke, and the NBA is kind of finally brought down a judgment. And my, oh my, did they bring down a judgment. Jonte Porter of the Toronto Raptors, he's not just getting a suspension. He's getting the ban. He's getting the ban hammer.
It's just a lifetime one.
A lifetime suspension. He is banned. We basically had everything but Commissioner Adam Silver. You remember the was it Donald Sterling when he announced that he was banned, and Adam Silver dramatically paused for a second and then he looked at the camera and said, "For life." He basically did everything but that in this announcement, as connections with Jonte Porter and gambling have led to a lifetime suspension. The first gambling ban for a player in the NBA, according to The Athletic, in 70 years, which I didn't know necessarily that was a stat that we were keeping track of, but apparently that's accurate. He becomes the first active player or coach to be expelled from the NBA for gambling since Jack Molinas, hopefully I pronounced that right, in 1954.
Well, I guess if you don't put stock into the Michael Jordan was suspended for 2 years for gambling and had to go play baseball.
Well, and so I guess the distinction here is banned for life as opposed to wink, wink, go play baseball for a couple of years.
This is interesting. This is an interesting case because obviously, I mean, there are a lot of gambling allegations around baseball right now, around the state of Iowa and some football teams and wrestlers and every other sport that they've got at Iowa and Iowa State. But this one is kind of like, this is about as egregious as it gets. I mean, faking injuries in order to win prop bets, betting on your team to lose. Like, I've never felt like if you bet on your team to win, like, I feel like that's not a big deal. You shouldn't bet on your team, but like if you bet on them to win, okay. Like you can't make that happen, right? I mean, I know you may have some inside information or whatever, but you know, if you bet on your team to lose, you can make your team lose,
Right.
potentially. You know, you can shave points, but this is this is wild, man, and I'm not surprised. Even with everybody in DraftKings and FanDuel and everybody's, you know, got a official betting partner of whatever league you're in, MGM, blah blah blah. I mean, this one is so cut and dry that you can't do anything about it. This is the worst you can possibly do.
Porter, who played at Missouri and then had a little stint with the Grizzlies before ending up on the Raptors. He's also kind of bounced around the G League. According to the results of the league's investigation, he's only 24 too, by the way. So it's not as if he was a 38-year-old journeyman that was trying to make a little extra coin at the end of this. Gave confidential tips, as Chris has kind of touched on here, about his health to a person that he knew was a sports bettor before a March 20th game against the Kings. A third individual connected to those two placed an $80,000 parlay bet, which would net $1.1 million. And the wager really hinged on Porter underperforming versus the Kings. To make sure that the bet hit, the league says, Porter pulled himself out of the game after just 3 minutes, claiming he was ill. So that was the grand scheme, at least. And probably pretty hard to hit a lot of your prop numbers if you're only playing 3 minutes and then checking out due to illness. Hey, Coach, sub me out. My stomach's not is not cooperating here today.
Bad sushi. So
yeah, we had bad sushi last night, Coach. I'm done. So also turns out, as Chris said, some of the games that he bet on as a player did include part of the Raptors losing. This is the part that I find interesting. The wagers ranged in size from $15 to $22,000. If you're an NBA player, what is your criteria? Hey, this one is not, I'm not feeling so confident in this bet. It's only $15, but oh yeah, by the way, the next night I'm going to maybe drop a $22,000 piece on one. I find the disparity kind of interesting. It says that Porter netted nearly $22,000 in earnings. This is through a friend's account. And you're right. This is the big picture takeaway, right? Is the leagues are so invested now with these sports betting companies, but at the same time, protecting the integrity of the game is the buzzword and the catchphrase that gets tossed around.
Well, it's because they're in bed with these betting companies. The betting companies don't want these players stacking the deck.
I mean, that's literally what it all wins. Yeah, that's what it all hinges on, right? If the integrity of these leagues is any sort of questioned, everything kind of crumples, does it not?
Absolutely. And everybody's business goes under.
Yeah, this is the $80,000 prop bet, as we mentioned, is what really triggered the NBA into it says the bet was eventually.
I mean, $80,000 and then you come out after 3 minutes. I mean, you could have at least gone out there and lollygag for a little while.
So Jontay Porter is suspended or banned rather for life. Banned for life.
It's like he's a member of the NWO.
For life.
For life.
As this athletic article, as Chris kind of touched on earlier, does bring up Michael Jordan. The NBA investigating MJ back in '93 claims he paid $57,000 to settle a round of golf wager. I'll tell you this, props to MJ at least. He ain't betting no $15. You know, Jontay Porter was doing a $15 bet. MJ said, I'm going to at least get my money's worth, right?
Well, MJ had a lot more back then too, but
also true.
But, you know, and again, that's the difference, though. MJ betting on golf, like, who cares? It's not that big of a deal, right? So
I'm assuming you have a Birmingham Barons MJ story.
Not really. I mean,
nestled
I
away.
was pretty young. I mean, I was 9, 10 years old. I mean, we went to a couple games, but that's about it.
That's more than me. I think I was you and I are the same age. I probably tried to beg my parents to go, and they probably said, "No, we're not going that far."
Like, we're not going to Birmingham, Alabama. We won't even get tickets.
Yeah, we won't even get tickets there.
Speaking of the Rickwood, the Rickwood Field of Dreams game that is taking place, if you're an Alabama resident, I know we have some viewers from down there. You can register in a lottery to win a chance to purchase tickets. So MLB.com/Rickwood, and you can register. And if your name is drawn, you can buy tickets to the upcoming game this summer against the Giants and Cardinals.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because guess what I will be doing the moment we sign off today now.
It is only for Alabama residents, so you better have some friends south of the border.
I got a few.
You're gonna have to have some friends who are it, because the raffle is only eligible for Alabama residents.
Okay, that gives me at least gives me a couple minutes to think of some sort of plot to try.
Let's just say that both of my brothers, my mom and my dad, have signed up, and they don't even know it.
Now that I do love. And this game is. You got the date, June 20th. Yeah, June 20th. I see here now.
And the 18th, I think the Barons are going to play in a tribute to the Negro Leagues in the Black Barons uniforms.
I see that now, and they're going to play the Montgomery Biscuits, where Giles County former pitcher Ben Peoples is a pitcher for. So maybe
you can get media credential.
Maybe sneak in there as in media access. We'll see. I'll keep that on the calendar. Hey, Chris, speaking of the fact that we had a guy banned for life is kind of wild and wacky enough. But you've been sitting over there in the studios in Clarksville for the last 6 hours, I'm assuming. Have you got something good coming down the docket? Because we're fast approaching our favorite segment of the week, Wild and Wacky Wednesdays, coming up next.
Yeah, I've got some good stuff. To kind of kick it off before we go into the craziest part, I do think that it is wild and it is wacky and it is ridiculous what the U.S. Basketball Writers Association announced today. And that is that they are naming their Women's Basketball Coach of the Year award after Gino Auriemma. At MoPatton_sports, we'll let him weigh in on this topic. How much more disrespectful can an organization be than to name a Women's Basketball Coach of the Year award after a guy? I won't even speak to the specific guy or to the woman who should have been the obvious choice, but this is patently short-sighted and disrespectful. And I don't think I could have said it better, so I'll let Mo say it. Christopher Gabriel, friend of the show, responds, I've heard the argument that Gino has won the most national championships, and he has, and I don't disagree with that. But should the award's name represent more than numbers? Pat Summitt changed the game of women's basketball. She paved the way for so many others to achieve the kind of a success and notoriety they'd obtained. Look, there is no Gino Auriemma. Gino Auriemma is an also-ran men's coach in, Newark, New Jersey, if not for Pat Summitt. Because women's basketball wouldn't be anywhere near what it is, and men would not be coaching it. They just wouldn't. All right? She elevated the sport to where it had never been. He said, I'm old enough to remember when John Wooden was asked who the best coach was in college basketball, and he said Pat Summitt. The reporter said, no, I meant men's college basketball. And he said, Pat Summitt is the best coach in men's and women's college basketball. So I don't really know what to tell you. One, you named it after a dude. Two, the obvious woman was there. and you went with that guy, who, by the way, most Women's Basketball Association Writers Association members don't like.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's wild, that's wacky, that's ridiculous.
That's more that's a grinds my gears segment.
That is a trash can juice segment.
That's a new addition to the trash can juice segment.
In fact, trash can juice, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that's here we are.
I tell you what, folks, we are going to take our final time out. When we come back, Chris and I are going to regather our thoughts. We will try and put that trash can juice out back behind the shed somewhere and not think of it again for a little bit, because we will close it out as we do every Wednesday. The wildest and wackiest headlines from across the globe, usually Florida, sometimes Alabama. Stay tuned. On the other side of this break, we will bring you Wild and Wacky Wednesday as we continue on here from the Lee Company Studios. It's Main Street Sports Today, and we are presented by TOA of Columbia.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's
you got that right. And
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe if not a puck, how about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Today, presented as always by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris Yao there, Wade Neely here. We come to you from the Lee Company Mobile Studios. Final segment on Wednesdays. We scan the headlines from across the globe, and we bring you the wildest and the wackiest. Chris has been kind of patiently waiting, I would say, for this segment. He's very stoic over there at this moment because I think he's got some zany headlines for us. Partner, we kick off Wild and Wacky Wednesday. I will turn the floor over to you, my friend.
All right. Well, it's not really that time of year, but it does take, just about any time of year, I guess, these days with everything in the world being delivered to your front door, right? Typically, this was saved for Christmas time and those types of things. But a homeowner in Sacramento, California, came home and noticed some items stolen from his porch.
Mm-hmm.
So Omar Gabriel Munoz decided to do what any rational human would do, and that is go to the tape. Let's go to the tape. Well, that's what he did. Then he's looking at the tape and he figures, he's like, what in the world is going on? As a trash bag began waddling up to his doorstep in order to steal a package. You see the bag coming to the door, and at first I thought they were messing with me, he told KXTV and ABC. He said, I got a notification that a package of 2 phone chargers worth $10 had been delivered. And when I got home, there was no package. So I went to the footage and, well, I was kind of angry at first, but then I saw the video again and I started laughing because these days people got a lot of creativity. So far, there are no suspects. Well, no crap. Oscar the Grouch is not available. He had an alibi. So I don't know who else it could be. I mean, that's a good one, he said. I mean, if it had been something worth, $100, you're probably pissed. But, $10, you just got to find the funny in that, right?
Yeah. And that's a that doesn't take a criminal mastermind necessarily to come up with that, but you just kind of got to, you got to tip your cap because it's like, well, okay, I can't really tell who you might be because of just the simple garbage bag right there.
So, all right, let's go.
Where did that story originate from? Sorry.
Sacramento.
Okay.
Let's go to all the way across the country to our favorite, St. Petersburg. That's in Florida. Joseph Tresselt, 32-year-old, was charged with criminal mischief and simple battery after an incident unfolded at his St. Petersburg apartment on April 11th, according to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office arrest affidavit. Fox 35 in Orlando reports that around 7:20 p.m., Tresselt was making pizza. And then he told police that he heard voices telling him how to make the pizza. That's when his roommate began making some coughing noises because, as even me today, it's that time of year. A little dry throat, the allergies are out. You kind of cough sometimes. Well, that was a problem for Mr. Tresselt. He did not like that. He was very irritated. And that's when he grabbed a piece of the pizza dough from the floor that he had already thrown and then started pelting his roommate with them. That's right. The pizza dough struck him in the hip when he was sitting at the dining room table, according to the affidavit. Deputies say he had no visible bruising on him, but after the incident, Tresselt allegedly went into his roommate's room, grabbed his dresser, slammed it down, and pulled the drawers out, causing the dresser frame to break. And he did this on the way to his room, which is on the same path. So after he was Mirandized, he decided he would talk because, of course,
that's what you do.
What is rule number 1 after you're Mirandized? Shut up. Instead, he told police that his roommate was making coughing sounds I did not like, and he was angry. By the way, he's still in jail. His bond is only $1,150. Sir, you ain't got $100 to get out. Like, I guess they make free pizza. I don't know.
Getting pelted with pizza dough is
that's a new one.
Yeah, it's new. It's probably not a pleasant experience. And I was waiting on a considering it was Florida and just kind of given the voices type thing. I was waiting on a bath salts.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
implication
that was involved, but there was nothing to allude to that in the story.
No,
but I will not be surprised. I could say confidently that something was involved.
Some sort of
mind-altering substance.
Yes. It well said. Well said there. Hey, I've got one for you.
Go for it.
Yeah, let me make sure I get this correct here. Uber of rideshare fame has announced their lost and found index for this past year.
Oh,
what if I told you, just think about that, right? Think about how many Ubers you've been in your life. And, if you're a driver, think about how many potential passengers you've had. Uber reveals that some of the more notable items that were left in cars this past year include a toupee.
Of course.
You get out of the car, you're like, do I got my keys? Do I got my wallet? I got my cell phone. Must have forgot to pat the top of the head there because the toupee was apparently among those.
You get out and you go, boy, it's kind of breezy out here.
Yeah, it's a little cooler than I thought. Other item of note: a ceramic cat. Who's traveling with a ceramic cat?
If you're traveling with a ceramic cat, there's no way you forget that and you don't leave that on purpose. Like come on now.
That's either your most prized possession or it's a gift for somebody. And so that's your thing. You're a ceramic cat person and you just travel with it everywhere you go, or it's a gift. And so the fact that you've left that behind, man, that's some real negligence there. Leaving that behind. And it does not reveal where this final item that appeared on their Lost and Found Index occurred, but a live turtle was apparently. Excuse me,
Is
sir.
It still alive?
Presumably. Excuse me, sir. This is Steve. This is Steve, your Uber driver, and I'm calling. You left your turtle in the back of my car earlier today. Some of the more unique items, we mentioned the toupee, hot sauce. Someone was traveling with a breathalyzer. If you're on Broadway, and
I guess that's a good. You need that. Maybe they left that behind for the next guy.
Yeah, now that's smart thing. Pay it forward right there. Let's see. 2 containers that were occupied by spiders. Okay, I'm out on this story now.
Now I'm no longer considering being an Uber driver in the event that someone leaves containers of spiders just roaming around.
Yeah, I'm rethinking my decision to be a rideshare driver at that point. A candle labeled "See You in Court," a fake tooth, and a gray tub of surgical implants among those also included on the Lost and Found Index, partner.
That is fantastic.
I left my calf implants in the back of my Uber by accident.
Did you just open up your leg and just leave them out? What?
We got to get back. We got to get in touch with that guy. I left my calves back in the Uber.
He went to go do some calf raises and could not raise.
Exactly. So that came across the wire. I had to share that with you. You got any final oddities here to share with us?
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try another profession, right? A Labrador Retriever deemed too friendly to be a drug sniffing dog has made himself a name as Taiwan's earthquake recovery efforts are ongoing. Roger, one of 4 search and rescue dogs sent to sniff through the rubble of this month's 7.4 magnitude earthquake, which left 16 people dead. The dog located the body of a 21-year-old woman and has continued to have a winding road to success because as a puppy, he was supposed to be a drug detection dog for customs, but turns out he was just too nice. So Roger is out there helping potentially save lives instead of ruining them by finding drugs. So way to go, Roger.
I love that. My grandparents, they had a dog that did not make the cut for the Seeing Eye Dog Academy. So it had made it all the way to the final step. So I got a lot of love for the service dogs of the world. And it's good. Like you said, Roger is, instead of putting people away and ruining lives, he's potentially saving lives now. I love that.
Gotta love Roger.
Real quick, a Michigan man said a scene in a movie starring his, quote, lookalike inspired him to buy a scratch-off lottery ticket that earned him a $500,000 prize. A 26-year-old man said that he was at the movie theater and saw a scene and the character looked like him. The character in the movie bought a lottery ticket and won big, so he decided to try his luck and won $500,000. I got a lot of questions about this, and none of them are answered in this story. It doesn't say who he looked like or who the movie was or any of that.
I want to see a picture of him and who he says he thinks he looks like. It's the same. It's not even close.
Yeah, it was Ryan.
I'm not mad at him.
It was Ryan Gosling, and I just happened to think I look like him, and so I went out and won. But he won $500,000. That came to us out of Michigan. So I should be so lucky. Maybe I'll go watch that same movie. I doubt I will have the same amount of luck that that gentleman had, though.
Probably not. Hey, tomorrow we got Parker Holman on Coach's Corner, and we'll, of course, have a Throwback Thursday segment, and we'll throw it back to last week with Mickey Allen. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. So let's get home because I got a long way to go.
Do it, partner. Be safe.